Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. How y'all doing today? Good, I hope. Hi. Oh, is that how we're gonna start today with a southern voice? Alright, first, good morning, little alien. It is so good to see you, and thank you so much for that song. Oh, I'm so quiet. Give me a second. Do I need to turn myself up a little bit? Yeah, I can turn myself up just a little bit, just for you. Give me just a second here while I adjust this. Turn this up just a tiny bit. Sorry, is that a little bit better? Let's do right around here. Hearing double or just me? Oh, you better not be hearing double. You sure you don't have me pulled up twice? I think you might have me up twice. But first off, let's get through these real quick. Thank you so much, Keeper Fate, for the first. Thank you so much, Lilith Queen, for the second. Thank you so much, Echo, for third. And thank you so much for the sub, little alien. Thank you, Cookie, for the Southern Voice Redeem. And thank you, Foodie, for, well, and good morning, Felina. Felina, you are a wonderful streamer. You're a wonderful person. And you do so, so very, very well. I hope you know that. I hope you keep trying as best you can. And do better every day. Don't just see improvement. Alright. Thank you so much for the praise redeem. Good morning, Moxie. Good morning, Kiba. Good morning, Lilith Queen. Good morning, Echo. Good morning, Moreau. Good morning, Mitchie. Always lovely to see you. Good morning, Elijah. And good morning, Cookie. Good morning, Foodie. And I think that's everybody, right? Good morning, Vanya. My favorite Vanya. Moxie, you keep making yourself sick on Monster. I have zero pity for you. Alright, buddy. Get some sleep. And Cookie. Good bunny. Good bunny. No. Maybe. Vanya, I might have tried to clone you at one point in time, but it did not function at all. Oh, enjoy your day, everything, Moreau. Oh my god, chat, I'm an idiot. Chat, I'm an idiot. Thank you so much. Thank you for pointing that out. It's an early morning, alright, chat. I didn't get much sleep. I struggled sleeping last night. But even though I'm so very tired and happy to be here with you, I'm just glad y'all here, alright? Mm-hmm. Alright, we're getting the Minecraft world going this morning. Well, get some sleep. You should be prioritizing sleep over homework. Honestly, but You do what you have to do, alright? Mm-hmm. Oh no, my game's so tiny. There it is. Now let's make sure everything can be heard, alright? I think that might be a little loud. We'll turn it down just a tiny, tiny bit. And a little bit more, actually. Oh, hey, look, it's the Fugi. And it's okay, I'm allowed to have things be a little broken. But Elu, good morning, Elu. I hope you've been sleeping okay. I hope you're waking up alright. Mm-hmm. Enjoy your honk shoeing and your me-me-meing. And by the way, if Keeper's here, Keeper, this world is named Keeper, after the dear sweet Keeper. We're gonna be naming every world after lovely, lovely viewers. Oh no, chat, we're immediately sinking. I may have made a bad decision. Well, good luck, Moxie. Don't make yourself sick. Hmm. Good morning to Chick Tries. I like your name. It's cute. Mm-hmm. How much longer are we on the Southern Voice? Let me see. Oh, it ended a while ago. Yes, yes, I know. People on TikTok are messed up. I'm sorry to hear you had difficulties with them, Moxie. I hope things become better for you. Good morning, Lilith Queen. Oh, thank you so much for the alert. Hey, hey. And Chick, how are you doing today? Hope everything's going well for you. What is it that you try? Because now I'm curious. And we're going around. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Moxie. Well, I'm glad he banned them. I probably should have grabbed a pickaxe before I moved all the way out here. That's fine. Enjoy your little cookie. Be good. Sleep well. Oh. And thank you for the lurk spell. Always lovely to see you. Well, I hope you have a wonderful breakfast. And you have a little time. Make me something too. I haven't eaten anything yet. Don't worry though, I'll eat after stream. Mm. Moxie, you really need to figure out your sleep schedule. Stop procrastinating to the point that you're just so tired. Figure out a time to get things done. By the way, lovelies, we will be trying out a new mic. Probably tomorrow. Just didn't have time to set it up today. The AT4040. It should have a lot clearer sound. They are cute, aren't they? But it may pick up some background noise, so I may only use it for voice acting. That's not a pony, that's a cow. What am I looking for? The cows are cute too. Good morning, 213 beings. Good to see that you're all still here. Mm-hmm. We can be bees, Chad. We can be bees. Good news, everybody. We can be bees. We can be pets and live for 30 years. Oh, really? What's your favorite animal in the game? And would you rather I call you Da Chink, Tries, the chick that dries, or any other combination of words? Hey, Lily Pad. Oh, how's the lovely little Lily Pad doing this morning? Chad, there's a problem. This is not a hardcore world. We have to start over. Oh no. There we go. This will be the Keeper of Fate world. You've been productive? Oh no. Oh no. Is this all dirt or is this snow? Oh, Lily Pad, I'm very proud of you for getting things done. Don't sink. Oh, I'm too much in the middle of the screen. What am I doing? Goofy. There we go. Mm-hmm. See, that's the problem when I change things for other streams. I forgot to turn them back. But Keeper, what if you don't spawn in this world? What am I supposed to do then? Do I just accept defeat? I cry. You know, that's fair. Oh, by the way, I don't know if I already said thank you. Thank you for the follow to check that tries. When I mute the alerts, I don't see them. And Lily Pad, what have you been up to this morning? What have you been up to that made you so very, very productive? Mm-hmm. Why is your brain scrambled, Moxie? You cleaned the house? I'm proud of you. Good job. Look at everybody being productive today. Meanwhile, I'm here, speaking softly, playing Minecraft. I think I'm the most productive of them all. Mm-hmm. Well then, Lilypad, play Minecraft in your dreams. Minecraft would be better than my dreams. I was dreaming about Twitter for some reason. Which really tells you that I've probably been on Twitter too often. I can't help you there, Moxie. I do wish you all the best, though. Maybe try some melatonin, sweetie. Pumpkin. that's not what I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. I imagine not. There we go. I think my goal for today is going to be finding somewhere pretty to build a home or a village. Well, would you look at that? I think you see. That's fair. I believe 213 bees would probably have to sleep a lot. Isn't that right, bees? Why do you think you sleep too much? Ben acquired. Hmm. I don't like this home. I don't need more beds. Hello, Golem. Alright, chat, it's time to relaxingly commit violence. Give me a second here. I was too stupid. Well, hmm, hmm, hmm. There goes the keeper world. New world, chat. Alright, who wants to be the next world? Alright, bees. 213. You know what we're gonna do? I'm also gonna give the world generation. There we go. No, that's fair. Not a lot of things do go the way I expect them to go. Oh, you see, we're gonna have to do another Keeper world later because I didn't name a world after Keeper. I didn't name the seed after Keeper, so that wasn't actually Keeper's world. So Keeper, you'll get another one, promise. But not this one. This one's bees. Oh my god, baby fox. Hello, baby fox. Oh, you're so adorable. Morning, Pink. Take me to your secrets. Lead me away, foxes. Show me the secrets. Hmm. Where are we going, Fox? Oh, berries. Thank you, Fox. I love berries. Alright, good night, Moxie. Sleep well. I promise I won't panic too hard. Yay. We have berries. Do foxes like berries? That's the question, Jet. Come here, Fox. Mm. Demoness. Demoness. You are such a good girl. I'm so proud of you for having that tweet blow up. Good job. was the tweet about? Should I be worried about the content? Mm. Oh. I think I might have actually uploaded a TikTok clip. What was the redeem? No, Vanya, I was evil. I committed crimes. The police are after me. Sorry, Vanya, you need to hide me. I was not harassing the foxes. I was following. Kill, 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 kill. Die, little sheep. We're recreating the signs of the lamps with actual sheep. Oh, yeah? Wait. Explain, demoness. How do you steal first? The foxes were taking me to treasure, I just didn't follow them long enough. Mm. Oh, Mitchie. Hallo, Mitchie, Liebe. Guten Morgen. Maybe I should let Chad steal first. Can I use that? That is very clever, actually, demoness. Ah, guck mal. Da ist ein Ship. Stealing redeem. Honestly, that's so on brand. Entschuldigung, Michi, magst du kein Deutsch? Soll ich kein Deutsch sprechen? I have an idea, chat. Imagine if I learn just enough English to flirt with everybody. Not English, sorry. Other languages to flirt with everybody in their native tongue. And that way I can memorize where people are from and then flirt with them in their native tongue. Auf. Nein. Das will das nicht machen. Jean, can you say, where is the library? No, but I can say, God, you're so hot. Please date me. Ah, Demoness, warum willst du das? Aber mein Deutsch ist nicht so gut. Bitte, meine Liebe, lass mich. You know some French? Good, I'm glad I can induce panic. It's time, Jen. We are going. Why does that look so pretty? My God. of my favorite things to hear a German say is hör auf in an embarrassed tone, so you know whatever you're doing is working. Ah, boat, come back. Okay, so we need to probably go that way. You get panic attacks, different kind of panic attacks on you. No. Oh no, I'm so lost. Chat, you see there's a problem. I don't know how to read. Let me chat, you're my only hope. Got it. I understand. Hey bees, what language do you know numbers in? We're gonna test something, okay? Oh, what are you re-auditioning for? Oh, these maps are so difficult to read, chat. I kinda wanna live here though, I mean, look how cool that is. Oh, nice. I hope it goes well. I want to find. No, you stinky. Alright, where could it be? I refuse to believe it's this way. This way just feels wrong. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, seis, siete, ocho, nueve, diez. I do know the numbers. Where is it, chat? Someone help me. Oh no, chat. There's gonna be monsters. I'm gonna die. Take a rest, Demoness. Go lie down. And let me be here with you. Enjoy your eeps. En voice, die schönes Mitchie. Mitchie, wie geht's? Hast du gut genug geschlafen? Oder musst du mehr schlafen? Okay. Aber wir haben kein Bett. Das ist nicht gut. Okay. Na, warum nicht? Wie spät ist das? Schlaf. Bitte. eventually you're able to get some sleep, okay? Mm. Oh. How did you find that? Are you stalking me? Well, Jen, are we all ready? I can explain if you want to know. Now, Ivania, the Big Mac is an awful, awful, awful burger. I did a video on why. The Big Mac is as following: 12 beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun, except you might see that there's something missing from that. The first part is that, well, it's missing the second, no, the third piece of bread. That's right, they took a perfectly good double cheeseburger and split it up with another piece of bread, and it's thin. It is a thin meat patty. Not only did they do that, they completely screwed up the ratio of vegetables, sauce, and meat. So they took one perfectly good burger, lettuce, sauce, pickles, onions, cheese, all that junk, and then they did it again on a second layer, and it's just so poorly made. It's not a good sandwich. And yes, burgers are sandwiches. Fight me. The proportions are just so wrong. The quantity of ingredients is just so wrong. It's overloaded with sauce, overloaded with veg, too much freaking bread. If you're gonna put anything on there, anything, it should at least be a good quality patty. Maybe some additional toppings. I mean, you know what has similar ratios? You know what has similar ratios? A club sandwich. A Big Mac is just a burger club sandwich, except a club sandwich has turkey, or it depends on the kind of meats, but it has three meats, usually bacon, ham, and something else. And then more bacon, ham, and something else. So the proportions of the burger are significantly better due to the amount of variety of meats. Now, that wouldn't be the worst part. I can justify a bad burger if it's just one burger on your menu, but this is the iconic burger. This is what McDonald's swears by. This is the forefront of McDonald's burger technology. That they're like, yes, this is our best burger. Have advertisements for this. This is what we should be known for. No, even the McDouble, which is just, two thin meat patties, cheese, rehydrated onions, ketchup, mustard, is significantly better. Just due to the cost alone, McDonald's is a cheap burger place making okay burgers. The McDouble is that. The Quarter Pounder is a significantly better burger, fresh patties, a fun name, good ratio of ingredients. Big Mac is awful. I'm indifferent on Burger King. I like the BK Stacker, also now known as the Bacon King. I'm so glad they brought it back because I like the sauce on it. Exactly, the Quarter Pounder is fantastic. But the the other burgers I'm not as big a fan on because I don't like how the lines are painted on the patties with liquid smoke. But they're alright. Decent burger. No complaints. And the Whopper is a significantly better iconic burger versus the Big Mac. Shall we finally found it? We have found where we need to be. And I also like that the Quarter Pounder is known as a Royale with cheese. Mm. Do you know where the best burger is? Have I tried the chicken Big Mac? We don't have that. I might try. But the best burger place? For fast food burgers, not expensive burgers. Five Guys is more of an expensive burger place. The best one, A&W. A&W has the best burgers. I am so upset they lost in the United States due to the third-pound burger. In-N-Out is subpar. In-N-Out is known for its weird combinations. The burgers are okay. A&W has the best meat, has the best ingredient proportionality, has amazing sauce. The Five Guys fries are only good in Florida. Moxie, have you had A&W? Mm. Oh, yeah, no. UK, no. You have to have fries using oil that's probably been reused 1,000 times. What are you formatting to exFAT? Wait, I think I'm going the wrong direction. Is Little Dot good or bad? Why are you not using Fat32? I'm going the wrong way, chat. That makes sense. Oh, thank you so much for the stretch, Ocean. And the hydrate. But are you more accepting of my hatred for Big Macs now? And Ocean, how you feeling? How you doing? Everything going okay with you? Come here, Vanya. Mwah. Mwah. It's definitely the memories, Moxie. I think I heard that California In-N-Out is better. But In-N-Out that I've had has been very just overhyped. It does not live up to hype. But I also like Wendy's. But that's mostly for the chocolate frosty. Yeah, Wendy's nuts. I know, I know. Good, I'm glad you're still healing. Keep me up to date. Wendy's is pretty alright. I like the burgers, I like the shape. The fries are solid. I would say Wendy's is consistently okay. Hi, Arias, how you doing? It was me, Vanya. I closed the Wendy's. It's me, your ops. Good morning. Hi, Arias. What's Wendy's like? Um, very similar to any other place. Their unique claim to fame is their fresh, never frozen patties. They're tasty. They're good. Yeah, I agree with that on KFC. Enjoy your sleep. Sleep well. Oh, I have heard very good things about Asian KFC. Enough so that I would consider the trip just for it. I do love that KFC became like a family dining place. The what? Egg tarts. What is an egg tart? Mm. Good morning, TNT. How are you doing this morning? I'll do it later. Right now, we need to find this treasure. I'm very, very committed. We're doing it, chat, finally. Oh, I'm so excited. Mm. That's true. Everyone, take your meds. If you haven't taken meds, take them now. No way is that a mushroom island. Is that a mushroom island, chat? Thank you for the follow, Narina. How are you doing this morning? We're going to live on the mushroom island, chat. Right after we find this treasure, we will live on Mushroom Island together. Ari. Good morning, Blossom. Is this our Ari or a different Ari? I might fall asleep, I sure hope so. Oh, it's your sister, right. Good morning, sister. Wie geht's, wie geht's? Geht alles gut heute? Entschuldigung, ich glaube, ich kann nicht so viel sagen. Oder Michi will mich, nein, ich weiß nicht. I want to say that Michi's going to kill me, but I don't know how to say that in German. Oh. Ari. Schönes Ari. Soll ich kein Deutsch sprechen? Oder magst du Deutsch? Call Mitchie a good girl for you. Of course. Mitchie. Mitchie, you're such a good girl. Such a good girl. Alright, it's time. We will find this, or we will die trying. Oh, hey, look. Projectile protect. Good girl, Mitchie. Mine, Mitchie. Chat, I have a complaint to make. I was bit on the finger by something, and it itches on my thumb, and now I'm very frustrated. Please help. I don't think that's gonna help. I might have some bug bite cream somewhere. That's the problem about North Carolina. There's just so many buggies. Mm. Oh, does that mean I should flirt with her more, is what you're telling me? Got it. Come here, Ari. Come to Ari. Hey, we found it. Nice. Oh, look at that. Look how pretty this is. Mitchie, you know I only do it because it bothers you. You would give me your anti-bite. What's anti-bite? What's the matter with you? Ain't got no respect. You can smell her eyes. What do eyes smell like? Chat, I need you to go find somebody and smell them. TNT. You are such a bad boy for not sleeping. Go to sleep. Get some sleep right now. Bad boy. I do not stink. I smell amazing. I smell like old books and leather. Mm. Welcome to Mushroom Island, chat. We live here now. Wait, this is so cool. Underwater cave, underwater cave, do, underwater cave. I am messed up. I am stuck. Help. Oh. Take something for your tummy. Do we have any mushroom cows? Where are moo cow? Moo cow, moo cow, moo cow. Good morning, moo cows. We need to make bowls. And then we have infinite soup. Then we live forever, chat. Yay, soup. Mm. I'm proud of you. Thank you for eating. Okay. Oh, is that a village? I think it's a village, chat. Let's go say hi to it. Here's the plan. We're gonna live on Mushroom Island. We're gonna build a little zoo. We're gonna bring all the animals out to Mushroom Island. We'll make them little habitats. Exactly, Vanya. Eats. That is what this hardcore mode's gonna be about. It's collecting all the animals and making a zoo. Narisu. Narisu. You're such a good girl. Always such a good girl. Thank you for helping me bully Mitchie earlier. My good girl. Good morning. How are you doing today? Morning, Dima. Mm-hmm. No, don't leave. You have to stay. Fight each other. Go. I'm ready. Who wins? You're not a brat. I don't believe it. Chat, I believe all of you are brats. Every single one of you. And you can't convince me otherwise. Oh, taints. It's true. Especially Mitchie, especially Mitchie. Mostly Mitchie, actually. Actually, you know what, chat? Only Mitchie. Only Mitchie. Pride issue. Fair enough. Fair enough. Ah, why not? I think it's funny. The ground is too infected to grow life on it. Mm. I don't believe you, Echo. Why don't I believe you? Mm. I don't like this side. Wait, is that clay? Exactly what I was looking for. And she is pretty, it's true. If I have everybody in chat I think is pretty. Mm. Why are you licking me? Do not lick me. Alright, there we go. Make some clay. Easy. that helps you sleep. Thank you for the follow, Max Giggles. That's a flower pot. Bowl. How do I make a bowl? Chat, it turns out a bowl's made out of wood. Wow. Time to go find mine. Good morning, Max Giggles. How you doing today? There's my boat. I used to know somebody named Giggles. I had a friend back in the day whose name was Giggles, and they were called Giggles because they couldn't stop laughing all the time. They laughed at everything. It was really cute. Anything that wasn't a hilarious joke to them. Oh, I'm doing very well. I think it's great to have a person in your life who laughs at everything. Because that way you feel a lot more funny than you really are. Gante. Buongiorno. You got cold moaning myrtle for your laugh. Oh. I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sure your laugh is wonderful. Good morning, Pung. Lynx the Pung, how you doing? Don't you worry, I'll eat. You don't have to worry, okay? Mm. There we go. Well, if you just woke up, that means it's perfect time for you to go back to sleep. Close your eyes and eat. I believe in you. You got this. And through we go. Oh, too dummy thick. No. Well, tell the baby kitten I say hi. And tell the baby kitten that I love it. In fact, can you put the baby kitten on the stream? Hold the kitten up to the computer and let it watch the stream. Okay. I should have my source of infinite food in just a second. There we go. Boom, boom, boom. Bowl. Where are you? Give me your soup. Delicious, delicious soup. It's not weird to me that the soup. Yummy, suspicious soup. Oh, adorable, adorable. Alright, shall we have it? We have soup. And now it's time to make my little farm. need space on here. So I want to build a bridge going to the farm. There, perfect. And a purr machine. Oh, what a cutie. We'll probably do a little stone bridge here because we have plenty of stone. And I'll go out into the water and then we'll be gone. Nice. How do you commit so much violence against yourself? Moxie. Stop hurting yourself so much. Alright, chat. I need to step away for just a second. Y'all behave yourselves while I'm gone. Pinky, you would come in right when I say I need to step away for a second. Pinky, keep chat entertained, okay? These little tippy taps, that's so cute. Pinky just hates me. Pinky waited until I said I needed to step away. Crazy. Crazy. It's just gonna be 5 minutes, okay? 1 second while I Where's the game? Chat, why'd you break the game? What happened? What'd you do? There it is. How'd you break the game, chat? Can't believe you. Can't believe you've done this to me. Actually, chat, I have to leave away for one more second. We have 1 more minute left on the timer anyways. Okay, and we're back. So you might notice that there's a tiny bit of an electronic buzz to my microphone. I don't know if y'all can hear it, but I think it might be caused by my cables or by my cloud lifter. Yeah. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna try to compensate a little bit for it. There we go. Oh, see how much quieter that is. So I need it up a little bit. And the problem is, I think it might be caused by my cables, but I don't know where the cables I just got went. They're here somewhere. Okay, I need to find them because this is going to drive me insane. Give me just like 1 more minute, okay? Chat, I think it worked. Oh my god, chat, it worked. Oh my god, chat, it worked. Hello, ADHD girl. How you doing? How you doing? Oh my god. Oh, I'm so glad it worked. And the sound is better, isn't it? How is it? You can eat the old cables. You can devour those old cables. My god, it sounds better. I was going insane. Chat, I would like y'all to guess how much these cables cost me. Remember, they're cables, they're just wires. They ain't that fancy. God, I'm doing amazing now. I am doing so amazing now. Holy shit. No, not 2.7 thousand. Oh, come on, Chat, give me a reasonable guess. God, I sound crispy. 5 cents. Okay, now. The two cables combined, one was about 3 feet, one is 6 feet, was about $120. Remind you that my previous cables were a total of $30 together. Oh god, I can't believe it worked. You should play Minecraft. Thank you for the follow, Baby Tao. Babby. Hello, Babby. Good morning, Babby. Oh no, I almost died, chat. You know what this means, chat? I can finally record all of the audio requests, and I can finally record ASMR. We can do it, chat. I can make good audios. I'm so giddy. Get ready for the ASMRs, for sleep aid audios, for everything. Eat food, then eat. True, true, true. Eat food, then eat. I'm too excited. I'm too excited. Oh, it sounds so good. Oh, ADHD, go. ADHD, why haven't you slept? Get some eeps, close your eyes. No, why is your schedule messed up? Go fix your schedule right now. I can't believe it worked, chat. Oh, you don't know how long that's been bothering me. It does actually. You need beauty sleep. Thank you for the follow, baby toe. Wait, I think I already thanked you. Appreciate it anyways. Alright, Chat, oh, my trees aren't growing. I'm gonna be so excited all day, Chat. You don't even know how happy I'm gonna be all day. I cannot wait to hit up my editor to be like, hey, guess who fixed all their audio problems? This guy. And he's gonna be like, you couldn't have fixed this before you sent off a audio for a game. And I'm gonna be like, no, I'm sorry, but at least we're both in the same game now. Yeah. He's gonna laugh at me, and he's gonna bully me. He's gonna call me a slur. He's not gonna call me a slur, chat. He would never do that. Hmm. 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 How do I get you? How do I get you? My editor is chill. He's not gonna call me a slur, but he's a cool guy. He's also a voice actor himself, and my god, the mic sounds so crispy. You didn't tell me there was scuff. Why didn't you tell me there was static keeper? Why didn't you tell me there was static keeper? Nobody complained. Everybody's just like, oh, it's fine. We're just gonna let Gene deal with it forever. Oh. By the way, Keeper, you might want to move your volume up and see if the static increases. My voice sounds good regardless. You know, it's static in the background. My room has static. It's me. I am your room static. It's just me in the corner going. It's me, Jet. I'm in your room, being static. Keeper, try turning your volume all the way up on your thing, and let me know if there's any static. God, I cannot believe that it fixed itself. We are good. There is nothing. But I want mushroom blocks. Oh, fine. I'll figure out how to get the freaking soul attention. Nice. Okay, I'm proud of you. There's too much atmospheric noise in my room, so I need better cables. Enjoy your sleep, ADHD. Enjoy your sleep. Mm. There we go. That's what I needed. I'm gonna take this and we're gonna go. Tell the pupper I say woof woof. Woof 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 woof. Woof 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 woof. He'll know what it means. Oh, bees. Bees, you're such a good little pet. Such a good pet for getting such a good grade on your assignment. So very, very proud of you. Mwah. Arf, 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 woof, woof, arf, arf, bark. Bark, 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 bark. Listen here. I don't like you. I'm now going to bark at you. Woof, woof, arf, arf, woof, 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 bark, bark, woof, 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 bark, bark, bark. You know I like you, Vanya. Don't lie to yourself. Can I make signs sideways? I want to make like signposts, but I don't think that's a thing without mods. I can't believe the gamble worked. Oh, I'm so excited, chat. You don't even know. You don't even know. I can finally do all the audio redeem requests. Yay. I need more bullets. Okay. Here's a plan, chat. We're gonna make a bridge. It's gonna be a pretty bridge out into the water. Thank you for the kiss redeem. The mic sounds so much better, doesn't it, with a cleaner cable? It's crazy how that works, chat. And it's driving me insane. I'm going crazy. And the quality's too good. This is my ultra shorter. It's good cable quality. A bridge out to the water. Yes, because we need to make a place to grow vegetables. I think that'll be enough to start. No. Well, unfortunately, mushroom fungus does not allow the growth of trees or vegetables. Although it does provide its own sustenance, I would like to grow more vegetables. Vegetables. And for those of you who are triggered by certain words, look at that guy go. Look at him go, chat. Job. Employment. Resume. I think 3 blocks should be good. Immediately messed it up. I am so proud of you, P. So proud. Go make all that monies. Mm-hmm. Yes. I love this guy. Look at him. Look at this guy. Good morning, Kinkies. I'm doing good today. How are you? Having a rather relaxing morning. It's been very nice so far. How's your day going? I hope equally as enjoyable. Oh, I found my second pickaxe. Of course. Always happy to ask. I think I'm gonna make a wizard tower. No, it's broken. You can't eat my hair today, sorry. Still need it. Why would you want to eat my hair anyways? It's not gonna help you out. I just promise it's not tasty. No. Hair is not very tasty. Sorry. Fine, you can have a little nibble. Okay? Not too much, you'll spoil your supper. There we go. We're moving into the tunnels. So I can quickly get all the materials I need. I think right here will be fine. Welcome back. How was your walk? I have no wood. is spinning again. It's okay. I'm glad to hear. Alright, chat, it's almost 5:19, and you know what that means. We must find somebody to raid. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Because unfortunately, I have to work. I can't raid your heart. It doesn't work like that, Vanya. So for those of you who are wanting to have more of me, don't forget we have a Discord. It is an 18 plus server and has age verification. If it's something you're not comfortable with, I totally understand. Now we're gonna see if we can find anybody who's into some cozy gaming this morning, okay? Good morning, JBS, the friendly arsonist. You're coming in right at the end. Sorry about that. Yes. I still can't believe it was the cables this whole time. It drives me insane. I need the rest of my hair. But we'll be back later. I promise. Don't you forget. Every day, 4 p.m. MST. Now let's see if we can find somebody to raid. Small dog has to wear a donut. What does that even mean? I also like my eyes. Mm. Why is this person always sleeping when there's me. Right, chat. I think we're just gonna raid shrimps. Or should we raid Leia? We'll raid Leia. Leia's nice. They're chill. Alright, lovelies. Go say hi to Leia Panthera. Be good. Y'all behave yourselves, okay? And do a little lucky raid. Boop. And there we go. Don't forget, I'll be back today, as I am every day, at 4 p.m. MST. Do a lovely little 2-hour stream. We might do date everything. We might do something else. Okay? Y'all behave yourselves while I'm gone. Thank y'all for coming by. Bye for now.